It's your boy, Chris, the Hickory Algorithm. And we're here today with wife, also known as Jennifer, my wife. And today we are going to focus on small business owners and people that are influential in our neighborhood. So how you doing today, Jennifer, or wife?
I'm very good. You?
I'm good. You know, it's funny that I always go back to that networking thing we had at the dive bar the one time, and we were just playing pool or something, and you could tell people didn't know that we were married, and one of the people there who we're good friends with now, you were playing pool, and I called you wife, and he goes, "That's not her name." And I was like,
He was defending my valor.
I was like, huh? What do you mean that's not her name? He goes, her name's Jen. And I was like, no, her name's wife. Like, that's wife. But, you know, ever since then, it's just funny that whenever I answer the phone and things, even like our kids, even Aiden will even bust out and be like, let's see the phone ring, and I'll hold it up, and I'm like, wife. And that's how it. So the reason why I wanted you to be on here for episode 0 is a little back. I know, right? Sort of like the introduction of who are these crazy people doing these crazy things. So we came down to Hickory, North Carolina about a year ago already. Is it already a year?
It's just over.
Man, and we came down because you got a job down here. Being a midwife, you got to take call from being at home instead of being at the hospital for 24 hours, which was crazy because you worked that whole time. Like there was never, if I didn't hear from you, it was a good thing. That means you were sleeping. And now you get to take call from home and you get to do those things with your job. And man, I tell you what, when we came down for that interview, you know, I remember Hickory was like number 17 on our list. Remember we had that list? We were sitting in our garage just like, we can go here, we have interviews here, we can do this. And Hickory was like 17 out of 21.
It was like Orlando and Tampa and St. Pete's and Arcadia and Oregon and Washington State and California. Hickory.
Yeah, and then Hickory. And then we came down and you had your interview, and I just sort of drove around and I'll never forget when we landed at Charlotte Airport and we got out and we got on Billy Graham Parkway and how much my dad loved Billy. I remember in the early 90s, he would go to Three River Stadium, RIP, and back in the 1900s. And back
in the 1900s, we watched that implode.
We did watch it. Remember we went all night bowling the night before.
Hungover.
So hungover. But we got up and we saw it. But when we came down, you had your interview and they gave you the tour and where your office is going to be and all those things. And I drove around and just looking at the place. And it's so funny because when we finally met up for dinner, right? We went to dinner. And we went and we're sitting there talking. And they were just like, you got to go up to Blowing Rock. You got to go up to Boone. And then we agreed. Because it's like, yeah, sure, we're going to pay for another night. Let's see what happens. You know what I mean? And it's so funny, man, that we did. You know, it's like, why are we staying another night in Hickory? Hey, can you watch our kids another night? We're going to stay another night in Hickory. And they're like, what's happening in Hickory that you got to go and stay there for? But man, it just hooked us. It was like when I remember getting on that plane again and being like, there's something here. It's an hour to the mountains. It's 4 hours to the beach. The weather's perfect. And everybody I met was super nice. You know what I mean? And when we got back home, everyone was expecting us to be like, how was it? Those kind of things. And
well, because every other place that we had gone before, it was like we were excited leading up to it, but we were very kind of deflated afterward.
Right.
Because the place wasn't what we anticipated, or it wasn't going to work for our family, or it wasn't it just wasn't what we wanted.
Right.
And we didn't know exactly what we wanted, but we knew that we would find it when we saw it.
No, and if anyone knows me, I'm one of those people that I'll even tell you, if you don't know or you have questions or anything, it's like you don't know until you see it. You know, sometimes you're just traveling down a road and into the unknown, and you're always waiting for a sign, and you're waiting for something, and you don't see it, and then all of a sudden it's there. And it's like, oh, there's something here. You know what I mean? There's something here that is pulling. I remember we had that conversation on the plane. We're like, that was more than I thought it would be. You know what I mean? And then we get back home and we're talking to everybody. We're talking to the kids. We're talking to these things. And what did our oldest want? He wanted football and wrestling. That was all he wanted. We thought there was going to be like some big uprising that he wants this, he wants that, and then the middle son didn't even say anything.
To them, they just thought it was more an adventure than anything.
Yeah.
We had been talking about moving for years prior to that.
Right.
It just wasn't the right time to do it. So they were mentally prepared for several years prior to us actually doing it.
Right. And then Alex he was like, whatever we're doing, we're doing. You know what I mean? But I was amazed at how easy it was for the kids. You know, it was almost like, okay, sure. I mean, yeah, it sucks moving and it sucks, you know, being away from family and those things. But like, who doesn't want to come down to North Carolina? I mean, I'm amazed. I post all the time online pictures of the sunrise, the sunset. And it's like, it's beautiful down here. It's like there's a North Carolina blue that I can't even put it into words. That when you look up at that sky, you see it.
Well, that's because we're used to bleak and dreary.
Right. The bleak and dreary stuff.
Rain almost every day.
Yeah, because remember, Pittsburgh there for a long time was like, people always said Seattle. I think Pittsburgh beat Seattle like 2 years in a row when we were up there. Because of the amount of rain. But no one thinks of that. They're like, oh, Seattle is raining.
I mean, Pittsburgh's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but our basement was flooded how many different occasions?
Yeah.
I mean, the rain was relentless.
Mm-hmm. Then you
all
start
the
factoring
time.
in like the snow, which everyone here, which I love down here, is when they think it's going to snow. Like someone, I don't know what happens. I don't know if like the mayor walks out, shout out mayor, walks out and he he just looks around and he's like, I think there's snow coming. And they just shut everything down because they don't even mess around. It's like, it's going to be cold.
It's the persimmon seeds. They look at the persimmon seeds.
Is that a fruit? Persimmon? Is that what we were looking at the Asian market the other day?
We were, yeah. They're good.
How do you eat those?
You can freeze them.
No, already lost me.
And spoon it out, and it's like a sorbet. Or you can just slice it and eat it, or you could dry it and eat it.
What does it look like? A pomegranate?
It looks more like a tomato.
Ew, I ain't eating that, dude.
Or like a tomatillo. It looks more like that.
You turn that into salsa.
It's the same sort of family. But they're good. They're sweet.
Yeah,
But the seeds of a persimmon, if you cut them open, they're supposed to predict the weather. So
how does that? They just speak to you?
If
they're
it's
like the
a
Doppler
knife,
persimmon saying like, it's looking
so
like
it's
rain.
supposed to look like a knife, a spoon, or a fork. If it looks like a knife, you're going to be cutting through cold weather. If it is a spoon, you're going to be shoveling snow. And if it's a fork, it's supposed to be like a plentiful winter.
This is TikTok, isn't it? How did we learn this knowledge?
I can't remember where I read it. It may have been TikTok. It may have been the Farmer's Almanac.
Maybe, yeah. The Farmer's Almanac, dude, those boys don't play. Mm-mm. Like, I got those in every year at the store.
I like the Farmer's Almanac.
It
does a lot with like planting and lunar cycles and that sort of stuff.
And it's on.
So if you're into astrology,
yeah,
it's a good book.
But it's like on point too. I mean, it's really, really good. So
I like it.
When the kids moved down, that's all they wanted, right? So then we came down, interviewed, looked at some houses, right? The house that we're in right now was legit the one we were like, yeah, this will do. Like, this will do, donkey. You know what I mean? Like, this will do. you know? And then we kept looking at all these other houses, and we didn't really feel anything when we went into them, you know? And that next day, we decided we went to Boone, and then we went to...
Our house was the second house. The first house, there was a guy that was living there that needed to have surgery on his leg. So he was selling the house, but he didn't want to actually, like, I don't think that he was planning to get out anytime soon because he was doing surgical recovery there. I'm like, we needed to move fast.
Yeah.
We sold a house, bought a house, moved in under 2 months.
Right. Yeah, it was.
So this was the second house that we looked at. It was the only vacant one. It was the only one that really suited our needs, but it was the one that I had seen on Facebook that I had sent you 6 or 8 times prior to that, being like, I love the staircase on this house, and I love the fireplace.
Yeah, and it was one of those things that the boys are getting older. They're going into their teenage years. I want to make sure they all had their own room. Because, the 2 little ones always shared a room, and they still do. You know what I mean? That one room is pretty much vacant in our house because they start bedtime there.
They like to snuggle.
Yeah, they're bros. They're definitely bros. But yeah, that's how we ended up coming down here, and it was hard, man, because I was at our store, or that grocery store, for 24 years. It was our first job, starting as a stock boy. Assistant grocery manager, to getting keys, to going as grocery manager, to doing the file maintenance, to doing the POS, to doing the store manager. And then I just did that forever. So it was like, it was hard saying goodbye to that place. There's a lot of people up there that I still love and care about. Mm-hmm. But when we decided, I think our parents knew whenever we came home that second time, right? It was the second time with the boys? Or was it just Jacob?
I think it was after the first time. Once we said that we were taking the kids, then I think that it kind of hit.
Yeah, because then we went on vacation.
Because we would have never taken the kids if we weren't serious about it.
And then we came down and they said that they would, they said bring the kids, have an extra day again. And then we decided to go to the beach, not look at any more houses. And I'll never forget, we're sitting on the beach, and we get a phone call from our real estate agent in Pittsburgh. She says, you got an offer on the house. It was over asking, right?
I would take it.
And
she said I would take it.
And she said, she was like, you should definitely take it. So we took it. And then, dude, we were able to hang up that phone, pick up the phone, and then say, we want that second house. And that's where we are. And it's so funny, from someone like you and I, born and raised in Pittsburgh, and our families were in Pittsburgh, and you know what I mean? And that was the roots of our family. And then to come down here I'm so proud of us for doing that, man. Mm-hmm. We did the thing, you know what I mean? And we did it fast. Do you remember the moving truck? I got it stuck in the driveway, it was too steep. And then I had
at 11:30
at
night.
It was the hottest 2 days.
And the moving company didn't show up. It was 8:30. Yeah. We're like, where's the moving company? And they're like, yeah, we're not coming. Have fun.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I tell people this story, and they're like, who'd you get? And I'm like, I don't know. I went on who we got the truck through, and then whoever they subcontract out, that's who we got. And they're like, well, that's the problem. It's like, do you guys realize we didn't know a soul? Mm-mm. Not one person. We
and
knew
not only that,
our real estate people, but
But it was even very difficult to navigate Google searches and stuff like that when you're coming from outside, because there was nothing about real estate agents or who was good or who was reliable or anything.
Right.
So it was because we were on such a time crunch, it was we had to just go with
whoever answered the phone.
Yeah, and then I had an appointment and ended up canceling with one because there was another, but she was a little more aggressive than the other, but we needed that kind of...
Right, giddy up. Yeah, because that's where we were at.
We had to do things so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the giddy up kind of thing, you know what I mean? So...
But it's worked out.
Oh, dude, it's been amazing. It's been so much better than what... And I had high hopes, because when you move somewhere, and you have all these things moving, and you have all, how are the kids going to adjust, and how are these things all going to take effect, and how new sport teams, and I coached them from they were 5 all the way up to 14, whether it's baseball, it's the middle school football there for a while, and now it's like, no, now they got to stand on their own. We're moving, they got to go do it themselves. And I think that, they're still young, but I feel like they're on the right path, and I think I'm sort of patting us on the back, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, it's been a great move, and now here we are sitting in a studio with lights on us talking about, how we got here kind of thing. There's one thing, though, I did wanted to ask you, because as we were getting ready this morning, getting the kids off to school, I saw that picture again of you that has the oldest frame, and it has, like, what did you get from the city of Pittsburgh? What was that award you got? Can you tell them the story of how you were a lifeguard?
Oh.
You downplay this story. It's an amazing story, because I don't think that dude lives.
He did.
I'm saying he doesn't live if you guys aren't there.
Oh, if we weren't there, no, he wouldn't have.
Yes.
Even if that accident happened 50 feet down the road, he wouldn't.
So were you at Shenley?
Yeah.
Shenley Pool. Were you the head guard?
Mm-mm. No, Wes was.
Right.
It was, I think, my second year lifeguarding.
Lifeguarding.
So it was the summer prior to my freshman year of college. Mm-hmm. I was sitting on the shallow end of the pool. Ron was sitting in the deep end of the pool. We were on guard, like so we were in the chairs.
With the whistles? Were you guys doing
flipping our whistles?
All right.
And everything was calm. The pool was calm. There wasn't that many swimmers in the pool, maybe 10 or 15. And Shenley sat below that main area going into the park. So the main drag going into the park, coming off of it wasn't the Panther Hollow Bridge, but one of those bridges. But we heard a motorcycle revving, and we didn't know exactly what it was. But then you hear like screeching and crashing. Like, you definitely could tell that there was some sort of accident going on. And I turn around behind me, and there is a person flying over the embankment and rolling down.
So, like, as soon as you turned around, there was a human being.
Yeah, like, flying through the air.
That's not something that...
And he had hit a pole or hit a cement barrier or something, and his leg went one way, and the rest of his body went the other way. And he rolled down the embankment. So we immediately cleared the pool. We ran over, got everyone out of the pool, called 911, put a tourniquet on his leg. I was the person in charge of keeping him calm and making sure that his blood pressure wasn't so elevated that he was just pumping out his blood supply.
So what all did he injure?
The only thing that I know that he had injured was his leg. And he came back several weeks after the accident. He walked into the pool with crutches, obviously. And he had an above-the-knee amputation, traumatic amputation.
So was his leg just sort of hanging on there? Or
it was almost entirely severed. The only thing that was connecting it was a couple little strands of tissue. So
you guys closed the pool. Like, as soon as you turned, closed the pool, and you guys just ran out, like you, Wes, everyone, and just went out. And then it just sort of, was there any conversation?
With our little first aid box.
Yeah, right, that little,
didn't really do much of anything, but we were prepared. We knew CPR. We knew how to administer first aid.
But there was no talk, like, while you were running out. Like, you go do this,
very
you do
little.
that. So you guys just ran.
It was a very organized
chaos.
chaos.
And just sort of waited for the paramedics to arrive, and then he was gone. And then I remember you picking you up.
And thankfully, we were just feet away or blocks away from a Trauma 1 facility. So he was taken right up the road immediately and was operated on and stabilized. And he survived. And like I said, he walked back and he thanked us.
Yeah.
And then about a half a year later, we were told that we were getting an award from the American Red Cross, and it was signed by the president. And I was disappointed at the time because I really wanted Bill Clinton to sign it. However, it was in the change of office, and it was George W. that signed it. So I have an autograph from George W. hanging on my bathroom wall.
Yeah, it's in the bathroom. And it's one of those things that you never really hung it. You were just sort of like, because you were just one of those, who wouldn't do that? You know what I mean?
But who wouldn't?
Right.
If you have love for fellow human beings, you should be
when you see something like that,
accepting of responsibility when it presents itself.
Even when he was vroom-vrooming. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's always one of my favorite things that I see hung up, because we have this frame. We have it framed, but we must have paid like $5 for that frame. Like, that thing is falling apart. But it's just so cool that. How old were you when that?
I was getting ready to be a freshman 20? In high school, so I was 17, almost 18.
So we just started dating. I thought you were going to like college and stuff at that point, but no, that was high school. It was senior year of high school. The summer between senior year and freshman of college. Yeah. Oh, so it was right after there. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, but that's. And I was registered for pre-med and ended up going to nursing school and did trauma for 11 years because I fell in love with it. Yeah. So that's the thing that's so funny with you is you really end up underselling yourself, because they'll say, "Oh, you're a midwife. How long have you been a midwife? How long have you been a midwife?" Almost 10 years. Right. And then before that, you were in the burn unit, right? Let me see if I got these all right. And I'm going to have to hear about this later if I don't get this right. So we have midwife, then you did trauma in the ICU. That was when I first started. So I graduated nursing school. I started in the trauma ICU. Right. I should have started there. Went up. And then the hospital got a big grant, and trauma and burn merged together. Mm-hmm. And then you were up there for how long? 8 or 9 years. I was going to say, it's had to be close to 10 years. 8 or 9 years. It was 10 total, 11 total with Mercy, I believe. And I mean, those burn patients, man. I mean, it's so sad. Like, sometimes you'd come home and you would just be destroyed, because I've taken mothers off of ventilators to hold their infants as the babies die. I mean, there's house fires, there's explosions, there's all kinds of things that you don't realize until you're faced with it. The things that a human body can endure are quite amazing. Even just hearing you talk about like the grafts and like having to change the dressings and those kind of things, and how you'd have to bathe these people, like the people, because it needed to be clean, and you mm-hmm. had to scrub their burns mm-hmm. and take off that, like, to you're over there, mm-hmm. I'm like getting weird. I mean, I'm shaking. I don't like revisiting those memories. Right. I start to shiver. You'll start to notice my chin will start to go, because I get worked up talking about it. It does haunt you at times. Yeah, and then I never forget, one day you came home. I mean, and you just, out of nowhere, you just said, "I'm ready to try something new. I'm ready to do something else. Do something happy." Because you said, "I've seen so much of this side of the death, and this, I want to be on the other side." And you just did it. Like, just did it. Mm-hmm. And now you've been a midwife forever, and now it brought us here to this point. It's kind of amazing. It is wild. It really is wild. So, I appreciate you taking some time, letting people know who we are, what the Hickory Algorithm is, and how these whole things work, and who are these people, and who are these people in my community. So, absolutely. That's so. But there is one thing. Is there one question? I'd like all of our guests to ask a question to the next guest, the next small business owner, the next influencing personality in Hickory. So, if you were going to ask Chris Parsons of Pace Atlantic a question, See, this is a little insider baseball here. They're buddies. Yeah, they're buddies. So what would be the question? It doesn't have to be work related because I'm not going to tell him. What question do you want me to ask him? And I know what you're doing right now. You're looking for a quote. You're looking for something.
I'm not looking for
You're
a
looking
quote.
for something in there. But yeah. So what would you ask Chris Parsons? Not like he's already fixed our air conditioner. He's already fixed things around our house. Your boy can't fix anything.
At what age do you deem appropriate that a child could travel to New Zealand
It's a deep
and
cut.
visit all of the Lord of the
Rings stuff? Let's go. Lord of the Rings in a big spot. You guys have a good rest of your day. I know I am. Thank you, Jennifer. Have a good one.